Okay, welcome everyone to round number 5 of the Trackstars TS3 touring car series around the beautiful Kyoto circuit. It is a Gran Turismo created circuit, and joining me in the commentary box is the one and only Spud P666.
Yes, DJ, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to everyone else watching our TS3 coverage here at round 5 of the Trackstars TS3 Championship, where we've started our stream early because we are going to be doing one lap honour of the fallen victims, where it is 20 years since the catastrophic day that we had back in Manhattan in New York, where ill-fatedly the twin towers of the World Trade Center came to a destructive end that was led by terrorism on the day of September 11. It was around about 8:46 a.m. on a beautiful sunny morning, where everyone was going on their day, going around their business and getting to work and all of that. But all of a sudden, as around about 8:46 was the first impact of the first airline from hijackers from Al Qaeda, where it was the American Airlines 11 that hit the North Tower at 8:46 a.m. and then within an instant, within a flash of a light, it came at 9:03 a.m. where the second plane, the United Airlines 175, hit the South Tower within minutes after. So it was a really big. So it was worldwide. It broke news everywhere. And all I can remember is I was we're all in Australia. We were pretty young at that age, and all of us were just probably sleeping in our beds or getting ready for school. And I know my family, especially my mother, when she went to New York in 1978, and she was very lucky enough to be up on the 107th floor of the North Tower to oversee the beautiful New York and Manhattan. And that was like she said, it was an experience that she would never ever forget. So it was very nice for her to see that at the same time. But I get it, again, back in 2001 was a catastrophe year. So if you do join us, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a minute's silence for all of those victims, nearly almost 3,000 people who have lost their lives on this ill tragic day that was 9/11. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do an honorary lap of those fallen victims. All, like I said, almost 3,000 people lost their lives, including 343 firefighters and 71 law enforcement, and everyone that was on the airlines that lost their lives on that sudden impact, where it was hijacked. Both airlines, both American Airlines 11 and United Airlines 175, and simultaneously lost their lives on this tragic day. We have leading the way on this honorary lap is going to be Big Red U of A. He is one of our American drivers, and he's sporting a very nice little tribute livery that he's got on his car, where it has the towers. That was pre-2000, and that was pre-2001, before the event occurred, the attack by Al Qaeda. And it was a very ill-fortunate day where we actually had a chat this morning about if he had any memories of it, and he said he remembers watching, well, because it was so sudden, with the first plane crashing into the first building, the North Tower. It was so sudden that no one picked it up. I can only find one video where they could only find that plane hitting the first tower, and then after that it was all broadcasted over the news, and it was tragic to see the second one live on TV hit the South Tower.
Yeah, obviously it's a very, very devastating attack, obviously by terrorism, which is obviously something we don't like to see in the world, but our prayers go out to the families of the ones that were fallen, and obviously we thought it would be good for Big Red to lead the pack, so we thank the TS3 drivers for doing this for us, so we're just trying to do what we can.
Absolutely, and his father-in-law was near Washington D.C. in the state of Maryland, and he wasn't overly too far from the Pentagon, where the third attack was made from the Al Qaeda leaders, from the suicide bombers. They couldn't hear it, but they saw a fainted. They could actually hear the plane actually descending towards the tower. It was still not towards the tower, towards the Pentagon. It's very scary at times, and if obviously people had lived that moment and all the lives that were lost, it is very sad, and it's definitely, you don't want to see that in the world. We all want to try and get along as much as we can, but I guess some people have other thoughts.
Yeah, I guess we're probably lucky in Australia. We don't have much terrorism in here, so thankfully for that. Obviously it's unfortunate that there is a lot of terrorism in the United States and obviously Afghanistan and stuff like that, but yeah, I guess I'm thankful for being in Australia and not having much terrorism, so I don't know what I'd do if there was.
Absolutely, it is a very hard time. So, and then obviously the destruction at 9:55 a.m, only about 56 minutes after the second plane hit the South Tower. That's when the South Tower collapsed, and then about at 10:28 a.m, about an hour 42 after that first plane hit the North Tower, they both collapsed, and that just pretty much signified that the war between the USA and Afghanistan was going to be a deadly one.
Yeah, and obviously they do 9/11 backwards because they do their date backwards. So I guess we try and do it as 9/11 over here, even though it is the 11th to the 9th. But yeah, I guess it was very heart-dropping moment to see all that kind of stuff go on. So
exactly right. So we'd like to thank the TS3 guys so much. We'd like, especially for Big Red, this will be a very special moment for him as the sole American in our Trackstars TS3 community. And I guess would have been very privileged to have led that lap of honor in those memories of the fallen in the 9/11 attacks. So we wish them. So we send our thoughts and prayers to the families that have lost loved ones, and there's still plenty of missing lives out there. Even to this day, 20 years on, there are still people that have not been found since the 9/11 attacks. Nobody knows where they are or where they could be hidden, but all we know is that many people have lost their lives, and many families have not been able to see their fathers or their mothers or even their kids again.
yeah, I've only kind of lost my grandmother obviously she was getting old with hospital and stuff like that, so I don't know how it would feel to lose other family members and stuff like that, but that was pretty heavy for me. So, and I was kind of there by her side when she did pass, but obviously if I did lose someone when I wasn't there and it was obviously like a terror attack or something, it would be very, I don't know, very traumatizing, I guess.
That's right. So we all send our condolences to the lives lost in the 9/11 attacks, and we wish them the very best, and hopefully our thoughts and prayers, definitely in the Trackstars community, go out to their families that have lost their loved ones in these 9/11 attacks.
Exactly. And sorry, there you
As we get ourselves ready, we are live here for round 5 of the Kyoto Sprint in the TS3 Championship, where we have our two main competitors in Sirik in the 98 and Warpath 360, the number 360 of both in Nissan GTRs, both the front runners of the championship to take overall line honours in the TS3 Championship, and no one else can make any impacts in their championships. It feels like those are going to be they're going to be the two front runners of come the end of the 10 rounds at the end of the St. Croix B round.
Yeah, it was a very it's obviously a really close championship with these drivers, so we can see they are separated. What we were going in, I think we were going into Monza, so we were going into Monza, we were separated by 6 points, and then they did Warpath won one race and Sirik won the other race, so I believe the gap should still roughly be about the same. So coming into the pointy end of the season, it's going to be a very good one to watch.
Absolutely, and it's going to be very hard, because we even see new guys coming in, such as SLM Kazi 1, who's been showing on great performances, and we know Kazi to be a really good driver and a really consistent driver, so he'll definitely be making a charge, maybe within that top 5. But we've got guys like Gordic 69 from WRT, and plenty of drivers like Vossi and even KPL Baseman. I mean, there's so many drivers coming into the series that any one of these drivers could be in the top 3 within a matter of rounds.
Yeah, I think how many rounds? I think we've got 4 rounds left, is it?
5. We're at halfway.
Yeah, so we're halfway through the season now, and we got 5 rounds to go. So really, anyone can be really anyone's championship at the moment. But it's good to see these guys turning up, and we have a pretty solid attendance by all of these drivers.
Absolutely. Looks like Kazi just left it. He was suffering a little bit of some lag issues there. So hopefully he's all good and that gets sorted out. But otherwise, we're gonna. Well, I guess we'll have to say it again, DJ. Let's place our bets. Let's place our Monopoly money. Who we got for pole position in the TS3?
Well, at the moment, I can see Sirik is quickest. I haven't seen Warpath. Okay, so Warpath is 0.1 behind Gordok, and I'm pretty sure he was second behind Sirik. So I'm not obviously with them being in the pits and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't rule out Gordok in this one, so he might be one to watch.
Okay, so another WRT entry from the WRT Motorsport camp, where they've introduced Gordic 69 into the team alongside also Reaper, who's the only one in that team is running the Lexus. Everyone else has just chosen the Nissan. But again, DJ, we haven't seen a Honda yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd be tempted to go out and go for a drive in the Honda.
Oh mate, you know me too well. If I was in this series, mate, I'd be definitely first person in the Honda.
I'm not so sure if you were saying that in the pre-testing, but I'm not. But anyway,
yeah, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed the Honda in the pre-testing when we were running with that, and I guess they were kind of really even with the amount of specs that we have at the moment. So
yeah. We did our testing around Kyoto, so
yeah.
It turned out to be very good racing between yourself, Jarman, and I. And so hopefully we get that kind of action in the TS3, and it looks like it's going to be, because I mean it's a very hard track to get any overtakes done around here, but there's very little chances. But if you can really sneak up behind someone's rear wing, then you're in with a shout.
Yeah, the slipstream is kind of effective through the second sweeper, where we see Bentstick and Benjo coming around there. So if you're in a slipstream there, you can get a really good run out of the corner down to the back straight. So maybe we might see some passing opportunities into that the chicane down there, but I hope no one goes for any heroic dives, and I think there might be a little bit of a pit glitch down there if I did see. Yes, who's that? That is Renegade.
Alright. Looks like we might have to call a red flag on that.
Yeah, I'll do that, and I'll reset the time.
get ourselves sorted out on that championship. Let's talk about what we've got coming up in the next few hours, ladies and gentlemen. As we're coming up after the TS3, we're going to get straight into our TS2 championship, where we have contenders such as Little Blacko and Cylon 96 duking it out for the championship for the bragging rights of TS2 of being TS2 champion. Followed by that, we will have our elite brake and mechanical top 6 shootout, where with the last 2 days, and if anyone caught the stream last night, we had 2 qualifying sessions. Last night we had qualifying 2, and that was where most of the fastest drivers were in that second qualifying. But we're sorted out the grid. 2 qualifying sessions have been done and dusted, and we have come up with a top 6 to take on the one lap of the Kyoto Yamagiwa circuit, where we have the likes of Mitt Matt in car 95 in first place, with Captain Risky and Punts in the number 47. In third place, we have Dishwood 1 and Speedy Tyres in the 66 CP Motorsports. In fourth place, we have D Yourself and a Viper Z in the 24 PLE Lexus. In fifth place, we have Duran 50 and V Papa AT in the number 4 CP Motorsports. And in last place, we have the reigning champ in myself and Spud P666 and Jono Stan rounding up the top 6, and our car will be the first car to take the one lap dash around Yamagiwa.
Yeah, obviously, each racing will fill more everyone in on how the weekend's going to go and stuff like that. But basically, we do run the same layout as the supercars, so we go from 6th, then to 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. So obviously, we'll see your car go first, and then so on and so forth, all the way down to Mitt Matt in the 95. So it was a long hour session, but I did see Matt have a 17.3 as his optimal. So he just goes, I tried so hard, but he just ran out of time to get it. So looks
Yeah,
like we're having a
it
bit of issues there.
looks like. Doesn't even look like you can even press anything.
Yeah, I know I can't do anything there. So I may have to do a room reset. I'll just save these room settings. I can't even do that. Lovely. Yeah, sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I will go to a room reset and a little short break, and I'll be back very shortly. All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I had a little bit of a hiccup. Gran Turismo being Gran Turismo. Just had to do a bit of a room reset. Just waiting on one more driver, and then we should be good to go green for qualifying. So these things happen, and we kind of just got to wing it, as they say.
Yeah, that's right. So, unfortunately, yeah, obviously Gran Turismo being Gran Turismo doesn't let everyone enjoy their experience. So, but hopefully we'll be able to wait for the new game that's coming out. I don't know if everyone's been able to see the trailer on Friday. Yesterday, we actually had the grand reveal of Gran Turismo 7, DJ, and I can just say, oh my goodness, I cannot wait.
Oh, mate, taking me back to Gran Turismo 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, mate. It's just incorporating everything, including the customization, stuff like that. Like, I guess that's what they missed on this, but
Yeah, exactly.
I think kind of this one was mainly focused on your LMP, your GT3, your GT4s, where you didn't really have any customization except for tuning. So I guess it's good to bring back the tuning and customization and add different wings and add 3 sizes of rim. So it's
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Like even getting the wide body kits back. I think that's what people wanted these days.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a wide body kit, so it's quite funny.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, no, but it's really good. It's nice that they it's the kind of thing that they listen out for their fans. Obviously pleaded Gran Turismo to bring these things back because yeah, as you said, GT Sport was a little bit more focused on the racing side of Gran Turismo rather than like that career mode or that fun lobby stuff. So it was a little bit more racy GT Sport, but hopefully GT7s brings back the old fans.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a good one to watch. So no pit glitches so far, which is good to see.
Scroll down.
Yeah, Renegade's out, everyone's out, Scabber's out, everyone's out. I think so. 10, yep. Out. XD, boy, everyone is out. Awesome, very good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have got all of our drivers out, so do apologies for that. Actually, I've just got a message from SS Boy. He's just going to sit out because his groceries came in. So definitely want to keep the milk in the fridge and not make it go sour by leaving it out in the sun.
No, exactly. Obviously, you don't like seeing. Well, I don't know about you, but the smell of off milk is very, very. Ugh.
yeah, that's definitely not good at all. But leading the way for the first few laps is going to be Vossi. So the Ice Arm entry car number, I believe, is
40
something. 40. So number 40 for Vossi, and he is going to be setting out his first flying lap here. So we've definitely experienced this in the faster touring cars and the high-powered and lower weight in touring cars, but I wonder how these cars are going to feel like around this track that is Kyoto. Yamagi one is just coming across the start finish line, coming towards turn 1. This is the most crucial part of the corner. Tuck it in nice and tight within that apex. He just runs a little bit wide, but with these cars you can floor it at least mid-apex to get that nice run wide onto the curbing. Through the S sections, definitely flat. Don't need to lift off at all whatsoever. And just plucking through the gears, 5th gear down up into 6th gear, and then this section is really nice, and this one can be really tough for drivers about finding their braking point, whether they brake and then they go too much in the inside curve, or they brake and they go too wide on that exit strip on the grass. But it looks like he's executed that nicely. The downhill chicane, braking hard down into 3rd gear, just cut through the apexes as much as you can. He's taken that nicely, but bit conservative through those corners there as he's running up the hill towards the hairpin. This is the trickiest part of the lap, where you have to try and find a good braking zone, make a late apex, and then run it out nice and wide onto the curbing, which is done very nicely. And then coming out to the fast chicane here. So a lot of chicanes around this track, but that one is the most. That one is not. I wouldn't say it's a favourite amongst drivers. That last chicane there. And rounding up the final corner, the last right-hander onto the pit straight, plucking through the gears, try and hug it in nice and tight on that inside line to get the shortest run to the finish line, and his first initial lap is going to be a 1 minute 24.4. So that's the benchmark they've got, but easily eclipsed there by Warpath 360 there. So 124.5 or point 1, I believe, or 23 actually, isn't it?
Yeah, 123.8.
Yep, 123.8. Just gone a little bit blurry on my app. That's all good. But that's the first initial start. We've got actually now up into first place. Your prediction, DJ, is Gordic is actually coming up there in first place. So that's not a bad lap for him. And he's just tucked in right behind ISAR Benjo 19. Not where you want to be, boys. Just not trying to race too much whilst you're trying to do your qualifying laps. Plenty of time, 8 minutes to go. Oh, only about an 8-minute qualifying with 4 minutes and 15 left on the clock.
Yeah, if you kind of, I don't know, kind of get in the way. If you see someone coming fast and you haven't had a good exit, best thing, get out of the way. Don't impede on another person's lap, so that can majorly affect it. If you obviously can't get out of the way straight away, try and get out of the way as soon as you can. So I think Renegade's having a bit of a rough exit there. But no, he's got Gordog right on his tail there, but Gordog set a nice benchmark time at a 123.497. So we'll see if he can improve that with 3.5 minutes to go. If he does get a nice run with Renegade down the straight, maybe he might be able to better that.
Oh, but Renegade's just run a bit wide. He might drive it into the pits. See, that's interesting. I thought I would have just put it in the pits and just get a fresh set of tyres. But I mean, there's hardly any tyre wear around this track, so you kind of think, well, why? Well, there's not really much point. But regardless, we did see Cyric improve his time, and he's up into third place, being lowest 10th. So not a bad lap from Cyric, but he's definitely got more time to find in his rivals in the WRT. Warpath 360 is only ahead of him in second, but Gordic, like you said, DJ, he looks like he is the man so far with pole position with 2 minutes 50 to go.
Yeah, but Cyric is 0.313 behind, and he did set a 0.347, I think, in that second sector. So he may jump Warpath here, and possibly Gordic if he gets a good run. Yep, there it is. That's a purple 0.1.
So purple sector, and this is the crucial part of the final lap, getting through that chicane nicely, and he's done so perfectly. So he runs it all the way to the left, try and use the curbing on the left to try and go take a nice wide line, but it looks like it's just run a bit wide. He's trying to get that car hooked into the corner, but I think he's going to lose a lot of speed. That will cost him a bit of time there, but will it hamper his quest for pole position? Oh, no, it doesn't. So it actually gets him on the front row and on pole position. So advantage goes to Cyric. So he's definitely lost a lot of time in that last little bit, but it was still enough to get in pole position so far.
Yeah, and just as we say that, Gordic comes through with a 23.2. So that solid there. And as I was saying, man, I'm telling you, this is going to be a fight between Gordic and Cyric, I reckon. I think. Oh no, Warpath is 0.2 off. So he may be one to watch out for in the race when they're a little bit more congested, I'd say. So we can't really have many turn 1 heroic dives like we did at Monza. So they did pretty well at Monza.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, at least the first corner is a sweeping left-hander, so we shouldn't really bring too much incidents with that, as it is. It's just a flowing corner. But we look through Vossi. Vossi's putting on a nice performance in the 40s. We see KPL Baseman tucked in right behind NZL Cowboy. That's definitely not going to improve his lap whatsoever. But Kazi in 6th place, which is good. We see Soul Reaper in 7th place, and is that Renegade in 8th place as well? Yes, it is.
Yep.
In a nice little throwback livery in the supercars, the Techno liveries of the Woodstock back in, I believe it was 2018, before Will Davison left the team in 2019 and went back, or 2020 before he went back to the Tickford stable.
Yeah, and obviously now he's at Shell, but I did see he's going 0.3 better here, so he may better his time coming out of the last corner. So we'll just follow Renegade across the line with 30 seconds to go. He'll get another lap in, luckily. By the looks of it, I think all drivers will get...
Ooh, and he does improve his laps, and he's actually put himself ahead of Soul Reaper there, but he now drops back down, Dave, because someone else improved their lap on that last one.
NZL Cowboy... No? Who was it? Oh, Benjo with the 125.2, so that was a very solid time there from Benjo, and Yeah,
It definitely benefited him with the toe, being in the toe of his teammate in ISA Renegade, so that definitely helped him out a lot. But looks like Sirik's come back into the pits. He's done, so he can't improve his lap. So it looks like Gordic is going to be the man on pole position as he's coming through the S section chicane for the last time. And he's just tucked in right behind Kazi for a little bit of a slipstream, but let's just see what his time looks like. It might be an improvement, might be down, but who knows? As he's coming across the timing sector now, he is going to be down on his lap by a fair bit there, so he's gonna...
Yeah, there was a .02, so it'll be very, very close.
Was 0.02?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I read 0.3, sorry.
No, 0.024, so he may increase
so he's gonna benefit. He's going to really benefit himself with Kazi's toe here, but try and stick it. Yeah, so look at that. He's going to get right in the toe of Kazi, but can he improve his lap? Can he go faster than what he set? He does. So a very good lap, and that's not even the 22s yet. So 123.1 by Gordic. So big congratulations to him. But what about Warpath 360? Does he have a response? Does he have an answer? No, he doesn't. So it looks like coming towards the end of qualifying, we're going to have a new pole sitter, DJ.
Yeah, Gordok's come to play here, so I think maybe Gordok might have done a little bit of testing, obviously getting himself familiar around the car, but maybe he might like this track. I don't know, man. That's, I guess, I don't know if Sirik and Warpath might be a bit used to this, seeing someone else up there with them.
Well, absolutely. Well, I guess for Warpath, maybe the WRT boys they usually do a lot of practices. I always see their lobbies open for like touring car practices within their team. So, and these guys have raced. They have been in a series before, back in the old Trailblazer series, and so they know how to do league racing, and they've obviously had a bit of experience and knowledge of how league racing works. But so far, yeah, it looks like it's coming to avail. We see the top 5 in the Nissans, and the first Lexus is ISA Benjo 19. So that's a good performance by Benjo, and hopefully he can maintain that same position come the end of the race. 15 laps, ladies and gentlemen. Gordock 69 in first place with Sirik in second, Warpath 360 in third, Vossi in fourth, Kazi in fifth, and Isa Benjo 19 in sixth. As we go lights out, green flag racing. We're going to have a nice, great start. Side by side battle, but it looks like Gordock's got the jump ahead of Sirik. Coming to the first sweep of quarter. Does he hold the outside line? Can he cut in line? He does. So leading the way at the end of the first quarter, it is Gordock 69 with Sirik in second. Warpath 360 goes right behind. Looks like Kazi has improved his positioning up to 4th place, and Vossi's lost 1. Benjo 19 in 6th place with Big Red of A in 7th place there, which is a nice start for him, being down in 9th place. But we see Isa Renegade in 8th with KPL Baseman in 9th place. So a nice clean start by our boys DJ in TS3.
Yeah, it's very nice to see him get off the line and then very clean. So it was a solid start there for Gordok. I don't know how these cars are good to get off the line and stuff like that, as I've never really had one off the line. But it seems as well Gordok and Sirik and Warpath did pretty well. So the top 5, oh, I think I've seen Benjo might have, oh, there he is. 10, what's Benjo? Oh, he's got a just quarter penalty there. So he might have had a bit of a shortcut and a little bit of an escapade through the chicane there. But 15 laps to go, 6 seconds behind, mate. You've got a long way to go yet. So put your head down, strap your belts up, and onwards to the front, mate.
Absolutely. And even look at SLM Kazi. He's all the way down there. He was up in 4th place at the beginning of the first couple of corners, and he's down in 10th place. So something we've missed, DJ, between Kazi and Benjo, but obviously, in a way, it's definitely the start they want to have in Kazi in the Red Mist Racing and Benjo in the ISR camp. So definitely one to forget, and hopefully they can claw themselves back up through the field, and I know Kazi can do that, and hopefully Benjo can do the same as well. But lap 2 of 15, we still see Gordic pulling out a nice little margin over Sirik, but it's nice and close, but they've definitely pulled away from Warpath 360. And as like you said, maybe Gordic has just done that little bit more practice over his teammates.
Yeah, he's doing a very solid job here, but yeah, I think maybe possibly something happened between Benjo and Kazi, so maybe that might be one for the stewards to look at after, but obviously we didn't catch it, which was unfortunate, but I guess it's a good showing by Gordok, but he's stretched that gap out to 1.1, so Sirik might not be as strong through the chicane as what the WRT, as Warpath goes on a little bit of an escapade there.
Warpath goes for a 360, and this is our championship leader, ladies and gentlemen. So he's coming through The very slow hairpin turn, he must have just floored it a little bit too much on the ripple strip. No, he actually didn't catch the ripple strip, so just too much power. And Warpath 360s go spinning, our championship leader from the WRT Motorsport, and he's still stuck on the grid. What has happened here between Warpath? So something has gone wrong with Warpath's end. He is holding his brakes and he's just waiting for everyone to come across. But my goodness, Warpath 360, a race to forget for him, and that's his championship lead gone.
Yeah, obviously with Sirik in second place, that's definitely not one that he'd want to remember. So it's the championship is very, very tight up the front at the moment. So
well, that's right. Well, Sirik was in second and Warpath was third, and they would have been back on equal points because it's a 6-point gap between points in our points system. So he would have been back on level pegging, Sirik and Warpath, but unfortunately, yeah, one mistake and you're gone. And I guess a track like this, you kind of, I think we also experienced it in qualifying as well. You want to try and get on the power as early as you can because you think, oh well, if I put the power on early, it's going to stick because the cars are really high on downforce. But like we saw with Warpath, it's not really possible to do that.
Yeah, I guess these guys are lucky to have the racing softs. Unfortunately for the TS2 and ourselves, tomorrow we have the racing medium, so they don't have as much grip on a corner exit as what you'd like. So if you try and get on the gas, it just kind of spins you around. So they kind of got to be, they've got a lot of power under the bonnets of those Nissans and Lexuses, so they kind of want to tame it down a little bit and kind of get it easy through the corners rather than just try and slam the accelerator on the exit there. So they've got enough power to go through and catch them one another. But I think Sirik's closed the gap a little tiny bit here from 1.4 to 1.2. So with 11 laps to go. So always has gone purple too. So maybe Sirik is hunting Gordok down, saying that top step in the podium's mine, mate. I'm going to take that back off you.
And Sirik definitely knows how to win a race in the TS3 Championships, where he's taken at least, I think it's about not 3 wins, probably it's about 5 wins, because we've only had, because it is round 5. So yeah, 5 wins apiece for Sirik and Warpath 360. So those guys have definitely led the charge in victories. But it looks like it's early stages, but it looks like Gordok 69 could be ending that streak of wins between Sirik and Warpath. But as we look down the order, we see in 4th place Big Red U of A having a great run in the TS3 Championship. Almost just runs a little bit wide there, but I'll tell you what, he's not far from Vossi, and he's going to be thinking of a podium. And what a great boost of momentum for Big Red U of A, whose first round back at Spa was running with a very underpowered and very heavy car, and forgot about changing it to the regulation specs. But since then, since his mistakes, he's been a man on the charge.
Yeah, I think he might not have been used to these cars as such. He might have started to get his head around it, and who knows, he might have had a bit of practice. But I think it's just after midnight. So he's doing very solid work here in 4th place. So also may want to watch out with a couple of laps to go.
Exactly, and these guys are teammates in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So actually, we did call. So look at that. So Benjo is actually got himself back up into 6th place there. So there's been a bit of a chaos back there in the back end of the field. So definitely something happened. And plus of Warpath 360's spin at the top of the hills, we see Kazi get himself a half-second penalty there from cutting the S's too much there. But a nice little recovery by Benjo, and you know, if he didn't make mistakes like that, I wonder if he could have been within the gap between Renegade. He would have actually probably been ahead of Renegade and maybe challenging for 4th place.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, the 2 boys up the front, they're kind of gapping and then coming back close to each other. So looks like Sirik and Gordok are running their own race here. So it's possible that Sirik might gain him. If not, then Gordok will pull away, and then you've got Vossi and Big Red, and then Renegade's by himself, and then you've got the battle pack between Benjo, Kazi and Benstick. So it's good to see they're pretty close at the moment. But just going to the YouTube chat, hello to Andrew Paraponiaris, I don't know how you spell it, I think that's how you say it, and to the man in the number 66, Diswood, good afternoon my friend.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chili. You know. It's good. He's always good fun to have in the chat. But yeah, so we've got 10 laps to go. So Gordon 69 leading the way ahead of Sirik, Vossi in third, Big Red UFA in fourth, ISAR, Renegade 575 in fifth, with as now SLM Kazi in sixth place, with ISAR Benjo 19 in seventh, Bedstick right behind in eighth place. As we see Benjo thinking about making a move on Kazi before the fast S's, before the fast chicane, he doesn't go through it. But eighth place is inherited by Benstick 117, so he's doing a good job for the M&R boys, with KPL Baseman in ninth place, Soul Reaper in 10th, while we have in 11th place NZL Cowboy from the M&R camp, SS Boy 86 in 13th place, actually, and then Warpath 360 in 12th place. So we've got 13 runners, ladies and gentlemen, and 13 on the track. It's a little bit spread out, but we have to talk about Warpath 360. So very unfortunate for him. He was on a good run, and he was keeping close towards Sirik, but I don't think he would have been challenging for that second place. So he's definitely not had a lot of practice around this track, and it just showed with that little mistake he made.
Yeah, and his pace looks a little bit off as well. So his fastest is a 25.9, where Gordok and Sirik are running him kind of mid to high 24. So it's probably about 1 second off the pace, and then he's done a 31 and a 26. So I think he might have had a little bit of mistake in simply running wide as what we just seen there. So if you don't get that apex of that last corner, you're going to have a very bad and very slow runner for the main straight. But he's looking like he might be hunting down Cowboy with 8 laps to go, so he's closed that gap down nicely so far. So it's at 3.7 at the moment, and obviously an extra position is extra points. So the least amount of points that he wants to lose to Sirik is probably on his radar at the moment.
Absolutely right, as you see him go a little bit purple there on lap 7 of 15. But yeah, just like taking us through a lap of Kyoto, like. It's so many different ways you can take different lines around this track, but as we've noticed with the faster guys in the qualifying, that usually just obviously the way they drive, it looks so smooth and it looks so fast, and then you can see it through their lap times. But do you feel like do you have a feeling that hugging that inside line through the sweepers, or trying to get that mid apex on the sweeper corners is the ideal line? Because you can't tell, because you try to copy what the fast boys are doing, then you do it yourself, and then your car just starts doing 360s on the exit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't really talk much myself, but I did finish in third in our qualifying session. But if you run too wide, I think I was talking to Risky in the practice what we were doing. The more inside you run to the curb, the less track you're having to cover. So I think the inside curb for those sweepers is definitely the ideal line to take to get maximum exit speed, because then you can get on the gas earlier and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not exactly one to talk. I was about half a second off the pace, but that was what I found personally. So.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if we've still got Woodsy in the chat, he could probably write to us and tell us what the ideal lines are around this Kyoto, because he set himself a 1 minute 18 flat. So, and we've seen many drivers in the qualifying set 1 minute 18 flats, but the fastest one was Matt with a 1:17.4. Was that right?
Yeah, Matt was a 1:17.4, and then we had who was second? We had Captain Risky with a 1:17.98, and then you had Viper with a 1:17.99, and then Speedy with a 1:18 flat. So I think Speedy went like 0.006 faster than Woodsy. But no, yeah. So I guess
it's so interesting that the guys between second and sixth place are literally only separated by just a little bit over a tenth of a second, whilst we have the 95 clearly the pace setters of the Kyoto Yamagiwa circuit.
Yeah, obviously Matt. I didn't really get to catch a lap around with Matt behind him, but apparently even It's Racing Jarman said that just having Matt coaching him. SS boy, what do you got on there, man? See if I can catch that. No, unfortunate. But yeah, so he just said that the coaching from Matt has helped him out. So maybe that might have helped something out there, and Matt with his experience and stuff. So he did set a fast time earlier. I think his first flying lap was at 117.7. So that was...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so for an initial lap, that was pretty quick, and then he just obviously worked on it, and then just got faster and faster, and his optimal time was a 117.34, I think it was. So that's... With me doing a 118.5, mate, I'm telling you, 117.3, that's bloody damn quick.
Absolutely right. So it's definitely going to be. So he's the favourite to. He's definitely the favourite to take pole position for the Kyoto 500 tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But right now we've got our Trackstars TS3 for round 5, the Kyoto Sprint. 2 races on offer, ladies and gentlemen, both 15 laps. But the first race is being led by Gordon 69 from the WRT Motorsport camp in the Nissan GTR, followed by Sirik in second place, the privateer number 98 in second place, with Vossi still able to hold off Big Red UFA in 4th place there. But it looks like that gap is basically the same gap as Sirik and Gordak there. So Big Red is trying to gain where Vossi is losing time, but then again where Vossi gains, looks like Big Red loses out.
Yeah, I mean, it was at 0.9 at one section, so I think Big Red got it out to 1.3, and then he's brought it back to 0.9 again. So I don't know if it might be the car or the driver, but it seems like Big Red is a lot...
Like he's run a bit wide, so Vossi's run very wide on that apex, and that gap has closed very massively there. So yeah, so hopefully for Vossi's sakes he doesn't make too many more mistakes with only about 5 laps to go, and hopefully for him he doesn't get overtaken by Big Red. So, but like I said, for Big Red, it'll be a very nice emotional podium for him after what we had earlier in the broadcast with our 9/11 tribute. 20 years since the tragic incident between the 2 twin towers in Manhattan, New York. So if he can step on the podium in the first race, I think that'll be very emotional for him.
Yeah, that'll be very emotional for him, and not only that, he'll start from 3rd place in the next race. So basically where they finish is where they start race 2. So they have two 15 lap races, so it's a little bit longer than what they normally used to. So they're normally used to about, say, 5 or 6, maybe 7 laps. And obviously going around Kyoto here, they're extended out to 15. So Big Red's make a really nice gain here, and he's gone up the outside.
Oh, he's going to go around the outside and just squeezes Vossi as much as he can, but they're going side by side through the slow chicane. Vossi does a very nice job holding that inside. Nice defensive driving from Vossi, but good clean racing between Big Red and Vossi there. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on in the latter sections of the laps as the laps go by. But looking through the chat, yeah, it looks like Woodsy was listening to us, and he says all about carrying momentum around the course. Obviously, the tighter you can hold certain corners, the more it opens up to others. So exactly right. So, and that, I think the best example is that turn 1 and the back end, which is about, I think it's turn 5, I believe it is, or turn 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so turn 6. So turn 1 and turn 6. So probably, I think turn 1 is your main focus, being obviously having that good exit. You can carry the most speed up to turn 6. So your chicanes, your first slot, turn 2, 3, 4, 5, you can take pretty well and kind of recover, but your turn 1 and your turn 6, I reckon, are probably your most valuable.
Absolutely right, and Big Red is starting to plan a move on Vossi, but he still can't find a way through. So it looks like he's a little bit faster than Vossi through the S section here, but he's just lost a little bit of time, but that gap is staying at roughly about the same 0.5 of a second there. So he had a chance last lap, but he's got about 2.5 laps to try and make a move on Vossi for the podium positions, but still leading up the front. We've still got Gordak 69 ahead of Sirik in second place, and that gap's opened up massively, 4.1 seconds. That's a healthy margin for Gordak there. All he can do is just pluck it in, just keep it in 6th gear and just cruise around towards the checkered flag. But as we see back down there, we see a position change. Big Red UFA in 3rd place has now inherited 3rd place. He's made that move stick, and very cleanly as we check that replay out. He's got a nice exit out of those curbing, a beautiful exit by Big Red, and he's coming onto the inside of the final quarter. Vossi squeezed him, but he can't squeeze him more than enough than that, because otherwise he'll run him off the road. And Big Red UFA from the ISR camp is in 3rd place, DJ.
Yeah, it's an astounding drive there by Big Red, and it was very nice catching it there, so I was able to get the replay. But no, that was very nice driving, very clean driving there, and it looks like Big Red's on the charge. He's like, I want that podium, and he's got it settled in. So as long as he can hold it in for 3 laps, I guess he might be on that third step of the podium. But don't rule out Vossi in this one.
He's coming back onto the move there. He's going up down towards the inside. He's made that move stick again. So this is going to be a nice little battle towards the finish, ladies and gentlemen, as we see Big Red getting a nice exit coming out of that chicane there. And he's going to think about going around the outside. That leads towards the inside. Can he outbrake him? Can Vossi hold around the outside? They're going to go side by side, but it looks like Vossi's just managed to hold on to third place. So excellent driving for between third and fourth place in the battle for the podium, for the last step on the podium there. So great driving by drivers, but it looks like Vossi's just run wide again, and it looks like Big Red fakes left, fakes right. Can he make a move? No, he doesn't. He has to stay right behind. But DJ, this is incredible racing between these guys, and it was only about 2 laps to go.
Yeah, at the end of this one, there'll be 2 laps to go. So this isn't over until till, as you could say, the last lap, the last corner of the last lap. So we got Andrew Scott jumped in saying "Come on, Red." So nice to see him cheering on Red. So I think that's not might be Ando. No, it's not Ando.
Yeah, that is Ando.
It is Ando. Yeah.
It is. But we'll be seeing him later on in the TS2 championship. And it looks like he's got some ties with the ISAR group, so he probably knows some of these drivers from the ISAR racing group. So cheering his guys on, or cheering friends that he knows of. So, but it's Big Red right behind Vossi in fourth. I guess we don't need to really look back through the field, because I think this is the battle that is going to be the most important one between Vossi and Big Red. But we do see Kazi thinking about making a move on Renegade. He does. He tucks it in towards the inside line, towards the fast S's. Can he make that move? Can Iso go around the outside? I don't think you want to be on the outside there, but Kazi's run a little bit too deep there, and it looks like Renegade a nice little switchback, and he inherits back 5th place. So some great battles going along around this track, DJ, and we just don't know which one to find.
It's just good seeing these TS3 drivers so close together, and obviously the tuning doesn't incorporate in this, because we have disabled it. So it's just basically up to the drivers. So the tuning is the in-game BOP tuning, so that decides how the cars are. But seeing how some of these drivers drive these cars is just phenomenal.
Absolutely, and looks like we see Big Red back in 3rd place now, and he's actually looks like he's put a gap on Vossi, so something's happened to Vossi. I'm not so sure if we can catch a replay. That might be a little bit too late there, but something massive happened to Vossi, and he's gone from a nice comfortable 3rd place to a distant 4th place. So that's something we have to look back on later as the evening rolls by. But Big Red UFA, congratulations, he's on the podium so far, but still leading the way. It is Gordic69 from the WRT Motorsport camp for the final time, coming around to the fast chicane at the back end of the track. Zurich has no answer for Gordic69. And leading up towards the final corner, we're going to see another victory from the WRT camp, but it's not Warpath 360. It is from this man, Gordic69, rounding out the final quarter and coming to take line honours at the checkered flag for race 1 here at TS3 Race Cars, Touring Car Series. It is Gordic69 with the victory ahead of Zurich in 2nd place, and a big ups to Big Red UFA, who's running a nice little who is running a great tribute livery. 20 years since 9/11, and he's got himself a podium for ISR racing. So big congratulations to Big Red, and he's done his country and his team proud in 3rd place.
Yeah, outstanding job there by Big Red there, but unfortunately for Vossi, he couldn't keep that battle with Big Red. So good to see Big Red. He has kind of been in the lower part of the grid, so seeing him on the top podium there, which is good. So.
Absolutely, and looks like Renegade's managed to hold off Kazi there, whilst Kazi was thinking about getting close to a move on Renegade. He just messed it up on that fast chicane down the bottom of the hill, and yeah, he just couldn't hold it. But it looks like Benjo19, a great recovery drive from Benjo in 7th place, so not a bad showing from the ISR camp with Big Red taking the podium in that team.
Yeah, outstanding job there by the ISR camp. So I'm pretty sure Benjo will be very happy with that one. I know I would be as a team boss, but unfortunately there's Warpath down there in 11th place. So that's very, very unfortunate there. But big congratulations to this man in Gordok 69. And didn't I put my money on it? My Monopoly money on that, Woodsy?
Oh, you did. You know, you're gonna get some of those money. You're gonna get that money coming towards you very soon. So
yeah. I'll be waiting to see that Monopoly money coming my way.
Might be enough money to buy a house, mate.
Oh, mate, I wish.
But yes, as we run through the grid, it is a big congratulations to the WRT Motorsport camp for another victory. But this time it is Gordic 69 taking his maiden victory in TS3 with first place here for the Kyoto Sprint, with Sirik in second place, and like we said, big red UFA, big ups to him. The only Lexus on the podium in third place, with Vossi. Looks like he made a bit of a mistake with his battle with Big Red, but that's something to see later on. I saw a Renegade 575, a nice performance by him in fifth place, holding off Kazi with 2 laps to go. I saw Benjo 19 in seventh place. Ben Stick, the first of the M&R Boys Mobile Network Racing, in eighth place. Soul Reaper, I would have expected a little bit more from Soul Reaper there after his last few performances being consistently in the top 5, but at least maybe something to show come race 2. And then rounding up the top 10, KPL Baseman with 11th place, Warpath 360. Definitely a race to forget, and that'll definitely be on his drop round list, with NZL Cowboy in 12th and SS Boy 2 laps down in 13th place.
Yeah, these guys are obviously lucky that they do have the drop rounds incorporated in this. So yeah, it's good there for Warpath. He can add that to his drop round list. But a big congratulations to Big Red UFA taking that podium there. But we'll take a lap around here in my bright pink Nissan around this track. So I think in practice I did do a 121, so it was a little bit quicker than some of these guys, but obviously that comes with experience as well. And I have put a couple of laps in for the Kyoto 500 tomorrow, so just trying to get my head around and keep the consistency up. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm not so sure if your teammate's going to be happy seeing you in a pink Nissan while you're in a light blue, while you are in a light blue Lexus Group 2 car. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting way to be driving around. But hey, you know, the old Group 2 cars are always fun to drive. Every car is great to drive, and I think we said, I think it's an argument between. Or at least it's not an argument that we think that the Lexus is the best sounding car out of the 3 cars on the grid.
Yeah, I guess we like the we do, or me and yourself personally, we do like the sound of that Lexus, but we can't get over the NSX. The NSX is just, I don't know, it's just kind of like candy to me, mate.
Yeah, that's right. It is great. So.
Ando, I'll be hosting a TS2 lobby, mate. So as soon as this one's done, I'll be opening it up at around 5 PM. So you'll all be notified of that one.
Yep. So it'll be just a little bit after 5 PM because unfortunately there is no pre-qualifying, and because we don't have enough entrants for the TS2 pre-qualifying, and so once this race is over, we'll cut the stream off, and then we'll come back with you for the lobby very shortly, Ando. So yeah, so nice little lap there from you, DJ. Benjo's come back from the bathroom and he's ready to go. Guessing there are many people wanting to go to the bathroom as well, because 15 laps, you've got to say, is actually quite a fair bit. There is quite a fair bit of time. Like if the lap times are around about 1 minute 24, you're spending a long time on the track, and 15 laps around here is pretty much like it's kind of like an endurance event for these guys, you could say.
Yeah, obviously, as I was saying earlier with the TS3 guys, they haven't done a lot of laps in one race, as they run a little bit wide there. So they've only done roughly, say, 6 or 7 laps, if that, per event. So they're probably not used to these longer ones, but obviously that's the joys of having the Kyoto 500, and we see in normal supercars and stuff like that, they have the 250 in the Super 2s, so they run their own little tiny endurance race. So we figured we'd keep with that. We got a little bit slow there, 23.2, but yeah, no, good work by these guys, sticking it out, keep racing, stuff like that. So
Exactly right. Don't forget to X out your entry there so you're not stuck on the grid.
yeah, all good.
Alright, so we might be able to get this started. Maybe looks like everyone's good to go, just to make sure they're all good to go. But otherwise than that, we'll get our race started very shortly for race 2 here at Trackstars. The TS3 race 2 around Kyoto Yamagiwa for the Kyoto Sprint. So again, can we see another Gordic 69 victory, or will we be able to see a possible newcomer, probably another winner to add to the list, because we see Big Red looks like he's got a bit of form behind him, but I don't think he's going to be up the pace with the likes of Cyric and Gordic 69. But can we also see Warpath make a comeback and hopefully, or possibly, get himself on the podium in race 2?
I wouldn't rule him out. Obviously, if you get a good start in these ones, you can. But going back to the YouTube chat, Woodsy, yeah, mate. Look, I don't have game chat. I don't have game chat in my headset, so I got no idea what gear I'm in and where I got to change. So it's kind of just what I'm looking at. But yeah, I know I'm a bit off the pace. That's the reason why Viper's doing the top 6 shootout. So
yeah, that's funny. So only waiting on one more, and then we are good to go for race 2. But yeah, I have a feeling that looks like Gordic might be able to take out the clean sweep if I had to bet my Monopoly money. I think he's going to go 2 for 2, but I wouldn't rule out a Warpath 360 podium as well.
yeah, I probably wouldn't rule that out as well. And by the looks of it, I think Cyric may take out the championship lead after this. So pending how it all runs out, you never know. He may run wide or run too tight on one of these corners, and he might chuck it in the fence. So that's possible. Anything's possible. It's a long 15-lap race. So we'll see you then. But until then, mate, I'll let you take the reins at the start.
Here we are at race 2 for the TS3 Touring Cars Championship. We have Gordic, race 1 winner, taking out the first place, followed by Cyric in second, with Big Red UFA from the ISAR camp in third place. Vossi in fourth, Renegade in fifth, so third, fourth, fifth for ISAR, with SLM Kazi for Red Mist Racing in sixth place as we wait for those lights to go green. Lights out, green flag racing. We've still got a great start there by Gordic 69. He's going to pull out the advantage over Cyric, but it looks like Big Red is going to make a move around the outside of Cyric there. But can he hold that outside line? That'll lead towards the inside. No, he doesn't. But it looks like Renegade's coming through the field, and he's going to inherit third place of Big Red. As we see, looks like Big Red's run a bit wide there, and he's dropped himself all the way down to sixth place. He's just got a little bit tail happy there at the back end, or maybe got a bit of contact from Renegade. I'm not so sure. Nah, that he did that all by himself. So that's about a bit of a poor start from Big Red. Not what he wanted, but he's down in seventh place by the looks of it. Yes, but leading the way, as we said, it is still Gordic 69 in first place, Cyric in second. But a nice drive for Renegade to be up in third place.
Yeah, I think coming through the SSR, he kind of got a little bit offline, and the other drivers were on racing line. So I think he probably took evasive action there, and it obviously kind of tumbled down. But he's not too far off that pack of third, fourth and fifth, so we may see him on the back of this pack, not in too many laps. So
absolutely. Well, it looks like, as we see Renegade run wide, and so does Kazi, and Vossi comes through from fifth to third place, and Big Red's going to go for the big send on Kazi there. Might have been a little bit too ambitious there by Big Red there, but it looks like Renegade ran so wide and Kazi followed him, and Vossi waited from fifth to third place within a matter of meters there. As we see Big Red, yeah, he goes for the big send, but he lets off the throttle and gives Kazi back the position. So nice driving etiquette from Big Red, but Vossi from fifth to third, that's a good start for him.
Yeah, obviously with the unfortunate finish there, he did make a little mistake there at the end of it. He did drop down to fifth, but looks like Renegade is on the back of Big Red here, as well as Benjo. Solid performance here by the RSR guys. So you've got Big Red, Vossi, Renegade, and Benjo. So they're all third, fifth, sixth, and seventh at the moment.
actually. Yeah, that's really incredible. So the ISO boys have definitely been doing their practice laps around here. But look at this. We see Warpath is now actually got himself up into 8th place. So this is the man that I was hyping about before in the pre-race, of race 2. Warpath 360 leading the way in 8th place, and he's gained himself 3 positions off the start, and it's only on lap 2. So there's plenty more racing to come. Ladies and gentlemen, we're only about to start lap 3 of 15, but Warpath is going to get himself close. And as we see Styric take the position from Gordic, as we see that replay, good timing, good pickup there, DJ. It's definitely going to be a mistake coming down through this S section. It looks like he's run a bit wide and got onto the grass, and it looks like, yes, he has lost it, and Styric has now taken the lead of race 2 for the Kyoto sprint. It is Styric leading the way ahead of Gordic 69 in 2nd place there. So, but that is a costly mistake by Gordic there. But we know from race 1 he's got the pace over Styric. So can he claw that back and get himself 1st place come the end of lap 15?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule him out. Obviously he was faster, but if they do end up staying like this, Gordic will take the outright win due to qualifying in front of Styric. So that's how we run stuff like that. If drivers end up on the same points, whoever qualified first ends up getting their position ahead. So I wouldn't rule out Gordic for this one, because he is starting
that gap is closing. It is close, and it's closing fast. So it's just a little mistake he made. That's the only mistake he's made. He didn't make a mistake in qualifying and not a mistake in race 1, and now race 2, the most important race that most drivers will say that the first race is an important one, but that second race is the most important one out of them all. So because you want to try and you want to solidify yourself as the top driver in 1st place, but he's just lost a little bit of ground there between him and Styric, but it's going to be a great battle within a lap or 2 laps time. But looking down the order, we see Big Red get himself promoted up into 5th place ahead of Renegade, and he's not far behind SLM Kazi. So Big Red is a man on a mission, and he's doing himself great wonders there. As we see Kazi have a little bit of a lag spike there on his end, so hopefully that rectifies soon enough for him. But Warpath 360 in 7th place there, and he's not far behind Renegade. He's gonna be making the moves very soon on Renegade, probably down towards the chicane at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, if he gets himself close enough, I reckon he can, and then he can get on the charge to get to Big Red. And then I don't know if the gap between the gap between Renegade, sorry, not Renegade, Kazi and Big Red are pretty close. So if Warpath can get somewhat close to them, the 4th is definitely on the cards here.
Absolutely right. So we see a few cars down the back end of the grid just having a few little troubles, and their days are going from bad to worse. It looks like we see Soul Reaper. No, that's not Soul Reaper. KPL Baseman in 12th place there. So he's been having a round to forget, and his best performance we've seen him was the 4th place back at Spa front jump only 2 rounds ago, and he's been putting on some great performances in the earlier rounds. But it looks like Kyoto's a struggle for him, whilst SS Boy 82 has not been having a good start on his Kyoto trip, so he'll definitely want to be jumping on the plane back to Australia. So I read definitely a round to forget for him.
Yeah, obviously unfortunate there for him. So this gap seems a little up the front, seems to be pretty close there. And going into the YouTube chat, we've got Woodsy saying, Spuddy, would you say Warpath is on the ... Warpath?
Yes, he is, my friend, because he's now up into 6th place, and he's made a charge, and he's made a move on Renegade there, whilst Renegade's really fighting back with his teammate Isar Benjo 19, about 2.7 behind Big Red. So he's still got a bit of time to find on Big Red, as Big Red was the 3rd fastest in that race there. But it looks like Cars is just holding him up a little touch, but can he make a move down towards the bottom section? No, he won't. He's a bit too far back. But this is really opening up the gap between those guys and Vossi, who is actually he's actually pulling away from Kazi. As you see a replay there, he picked it up there. So what's happened here? Looks like he's about to make a move on Styric, and Styric goes tail happy there, and Gordic just couldn't go, had nowhere else to go but into the lead of the race here in race 2. But they're going to still go side by side. Who comes out in first? It is Gordic 69. So what was lost on lap 2 is now being regained at the end of lap 5. So Gordic 69 leading the way again, once again, Race 2 here for the Kyoto Sprint. It is Gordon 69 for the WRT Motorsport in first place, with Sirik in second, Vossi in third, SLM Kazi in fourth, with Big Red in fifth place, I apologise. But he's not far behind Kazi, so he's going to be thinking about making a move very shortly. And Warpath is like Woodsy said, he is on the Warpath, and he's coming towards Big Red, Kazi, and even Vossi.
Yeah, that gap is dropping very rapidly. So I've seen that drop from 2.2 to 1.7 in a matter of one corner. So he's definitely got his head down, his belt's buckled up tight and holding on his hands device. Oh, look at that, he's even gone purple in that first sector. So maybe, just maybe. Oh, that's gone down to 1.4. So look at that gap. That gap is dropping incredibly fast.
He's definitely put his visor down, and he's a man on a mission here. So we'll have to wait until at least probably the next lap or so, if he thinks about making a move on Big Red. But Big Red looks like he wants to make a move on Kazi, but that gap's a little bit spread between third and sixth place. But they're all quite close proximity within each other. So one mistake from one of those drivers can be the big difference in gaining a position or losing position.
Yeah, and a little mistake there, as we've seen by Sirik on lap 5 there, with a little bit of Tokyo Drift action out of the chicane, and Gordon took that position back. So he's just gapped that out to 1.3. And then you've got Vossi, which is about 8 seconds behind Sirik. But look at that time between Kazi and Vossi, that is 0.9. So I wouldn't rule out Warpath. I would not rule out Warpath.
Absolutely not. And Vossi probably thinks he's got a nice comfortable position in third place, but he doesn't know, or he probably might know that Warpath is charging, but he doesn't know how fast he's charging, because I would say the gap between third and sixth place would probably be around about that 2.5 second mark, I would say, because it looks like Warpath is just coming onto the back end of Big Red, and you can see in that picture frame they're all within each other's slipstream, so it's incredible to see. So you see Kazi go for a 360, and I did call it that one driver was going to make a mistake, and it's going to be the big difference between gaining and losing position. As we see that replay, it just loses it before the corner, and he's just gone spinning that's a weird one. That's just the rear end, just the rear end of his car just stuck out there. That was so strange.
Yeah, that was strange, but I know from experience, when I hadn't had like a decent tune or something like that, if you do run too tight on the curbs there, it will spit the rear end of the car out, which is what happens here from Kazi. So it looks like he tried to take the chicane a little bit too tight there, and it just spat the back end out. And then once your back end out goes around that corner, wish your lucks goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it looked like he actually lost it before he actually touched the curbing there, but it looks like that rear end just snapped out on him. But yeah, you're probably right. He definitely caught the inside, too much inside curbing, and the car and the rear end just spat out on him. So definitely not what you want to, definitely not what he wanted to experience. That's for sure. Being up in fourth, and now he's down in seventh place. So Warpath is still behind Big Red. So I mean, Big Red showed good performance in race 1, but do you think he'd be worried about Warpath behind him, or do you think he's more focused on catching Vossi?
I don't know. I think if it was me, I'd be more worried about trying to go forward to Vossi, but then you've got Warpath here on a purple lap, so it's kind of a muchness, and then something simple like that, Warpath going too deep onto the brakes, and your gap goes from 0.1 to 1 second. So now Big Red doesn't really have to worry about Warpath as yet. Maybe give him another lap or two, and he might drag Warpath along to the back of Vossi. So
yeah, and Big Red was actually faster than Vossi in race 1, and as we saw that incredible battle between Vossi and Big Red, and we might have another one with those guys very shortly. But Kazi I'm very unlucky to be down in 7th place, as we see Ben Stick, the fastest M&R car, the 115 in 9th place. Right behind him is Oz Soul Reaper, which I thought it would have been a little bit more of a challenge for Soul Reaper to be further up the grid, as we've seen in his last few performances. But down in 10th place is definitely not a fan of this track, just like SS Boy. I think he just wants to pack his bags and go back to Australia.
Yeah, I was running around before these guys did qualifying, and I don't know, I mean, some of them look a little bit out of their comfort zone, I guess. Maybe the maybe the high speed sweeping corners into a tight like chicane or hairpin isn't really their forte. So maybe, yeah, I guess it's much of a muchness really, but it just shows that what driver likes what track in a way.
Exactly. I mean, well, even for us on the main series, I mean, probably not many people would have been able to have much time to practice for the Kyoto 500, and only this week we've seen more and more drivers get into lobbies and start practicing their laps for the qualifying, and you can definitely tell that as the days and sessions go by that those times get lower and lower. So it's all about trying to get comfortable on the track that you might not like, but you try to get comfortable in a way that you don't lose too much time. And so you see Sirik make a huge mistake, and he's all the way down in. He's 12 seconds behind Gordic, and he's right in the clutches of Vossi. So something huge has happened to Sirik. So we've missed that, and Sirik has gone from being about 2 seconds behind Gordic to now being 12.5 behind him. So something big has happened towards Sirik here, and this is a round that he can be happy with, but definitely as well not happy because he hasn't got any victories yet.
Yeah, I guess you could. It wouldn't be really much about the victories, because you take it back to say Supercars. I think it was around about 2003 or 2002. I think it was, where Russell Ingall never won a race and he won the championship. So he was constantly always up the front. So second, third, fourth, second, third, stuff like that. And without winning a race, he actually took out the championship. So it's just the consistency there, and we can see Sirik up the front being consistently up there. So as long as he stays up there. We may see Sirik taking out the championship in the first season of the Trackstars TS3 series.
Yep, time will tell, and as he starts to eat that gap a little bit out on Vossi there, and it looks like Warpath has just drifted a little bit further away from Big Red in 5th place there. So that gap's opened up a little bit, so maybe Warpath's made a mistake as well, but he's only got about 5 laps to go until the conclusion of race 2 for the Kyoto sprint there. But we see a nice little battle pack between Renegade and Kazi, the same as race 1, but can Kazi make the move on Renegade and not go too deep down the back chicane?
Yeah, I guess as I was saying, like, if you take that chicane, the last one, if you take it wrong on the left-hander, you go too wide, you end up on the grass. You go too tight, you end up with a penalty. So it's kind of where do you draw the line as to going through that corner?
Yeah, that's right. It's all about just trying to get as much runoff or try to go as wide as try to make the entry as wide as you can before you cut in, to try and, in theory, try to make it the exit a little bit more of a straight line. So I guess in a way for Kazi, as we see a replay here, it looks like Benstick and Benjo going door handle to door handle, barging between each other, but nice firm aggressive racing there from Benstick, moves himself up into 8th place. But yeah, going back onto that chicane, which I think I would say for me personally, that's definitely the hardest part of the track to get right, because you don't know whether to go too much on the curbing and then try to get a bit more of a straight line exit and try to keep that car straight with minimal turning inputs, or if it's just about turning in very early and then trying to like navigate your way around the chicane. It's always a bit hard to know what is the perfect line, but as we've seen in our top 6, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and then to watch them last night, it was just like phenomenal, because I feel like I'm taking the same lines, but they're just magically 0.6 seconds faster. So I guess it might be experience, but also, yeah, as you're saying, kind of take it to try and open it up. But if you take it too tight, as I was saying, you end up with a penalty. But if you take it too wide, the car actually bounces. So I think like that part, you can either gain 2/10 or you can either lose 2/10. Because I was practicing earlier this morning and I was down by 0.05, I think it was. Unless he makes a little tiny mistake there. Yeah, so I was down by 0.05, and then I made the best run through there, and I gained 3/10. So, like, you can take that as a representation of what that corner can do to your lap.
Yeah, exactly. As we see that replay, something looks like just happened towards him. It looked like he made a mistake there.
Connection. Sorry.
That's all right, but it looks like he's dropped right back into the clutches of Big Red and Warpath. So these guys they looks like they're working together to try and get close towards Vossi. But it looks like, as you said, as you probably pointed out, Vossi did made a bit of a mistake there, and he's right now in the clutches of Big Red and Warpath, with Warpath looking like the driver that wants to make the move first. As he thinks about an insight, oh, he doesn't go for it, so just holding back. But Big Red looks like he's a little bit phased from it. No, he's not, so he's good. Warpath is going to tuck right into that slipstream, hopefully get himself a bit of a slingshot effect and get himself on the inside before the big sweeper, but it's just a little bit too far back. But this is going to be a great battle with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, nice battle there. Oscar Reaper makes a nice dive down there.
Nice.
Clean move there down the inside of bend stick. So real deep on the brakes there. You can make it nice move into there, but you also got to be worried about drifting out too wide, and the other driver can make a massive crisscross on you.
Absolutely right. That's a great move there. So we see actually Warpath 360 is in 3rd place, DJ. If we cut back to that and catch the replay, what has happened here? So as we see that quick replay, it looks like something happened to Vossi there in 3rd place. Did he run a bit too deep into the corners? No, he hasn't. But it looks like he's gone around and he's spun it, so he's got a bit of a slow exit there. And Big Red managed to make contact with him, but Warpath has done it, and he's completed the challenge from 11th place, and he's now in 3rd place. But he has to worry about Big Red now. Does Big Red have a bit more of a pace advantage than Warpath 360? So that's one to see come down the race. But from Vossi there, went in too deep into the chicane, as we've been talking about throughout the stream. You make one mistake, and that pretty much ruins your line, and possibly definitely loses you time against the others.
Yeah, and obviously same thing through that chicane as you go through the other one. You can either gain a 10th or you can lose a 10th. So you go too tight, you get a penalty. You go too wide, you bounce. So it's kind of a muchness. But flicking back to the chat, we've got Woodsy having pork Louisiana style sausages for dinner. And then he's saying his car of choice would be the Honda NSX 08. So he's actually going for the old NSX.
Very interesting, that one indeed. So we definitely know Woodsy can drive any car that you put in front of him, and he'll make it magic. So you say, but he has raced with the Honda NSX. He has experience, and yeah, we can and you and me can agree that he definitely loves the NSX. That's for sure. But going back to the action here, but between Warpath from 11th place and then up into 3rd, like I definitely called definitely a Warpath charge, and he's done it, and he's up into 3rd place, as we see Vossi now come under pressure from, looks like ISA Renegade there, and he's getting himself, it is just, what was almost a certain 3rd place is now fighting for 5th place against Renegade. So definitely a race to forget for Vossi, with just one crucial mistake that he made.
Yeah, and that, obviously we see that in real life as well. You make one little tiny mistake, you can lose 1 position, or you can lose 6. So yeah, very unlucky there for Vossi, but luckily he hasn't dropped too far down, so still some valuable top 5 points there, which is solid for him.
Absolutely.
And then Renegade trying to charge up through Vossi, but yeah, as Woodsy's saying in the chat, very unlucky, but awesome recovery drive from Warpath from what happened in the first race. So unfortunately in the first race, yeah, he did cop that 11th place, which is unfortunate.
Absolutely. As we cut back towards Gordic 69, nobody can challenge him. So he's been unfazed. He's made one mistake on lap 2, but he gained that back at the end of lap 5. But no one's been able to touch him. He's been unstoppable. He's the Kyoto King in TS3. It is Gordic 69 for the WRT Motorsport, taking out the checkered flag and the clean sweep here for the TS3 race 2 for the Kyoto Sprint. So big congratulations to Gordic 69 with Sirik in 2nd place and taking the championship lead over Warpath 360 there, with Warpath with a drive of the day performance from him in 3rd place, and Big ups to Big Red. That looks like it's going to be a podium for him in the overall standings there. But can Renegade make a move on Vossi? No, he doesn't. So he'll hold off for 6th place and Vossi in 5th. So very unlucky for Vossi. He might be losing that 3rd place to Big Red in the overall standings there, but definitely a great drive from Warpath 360, DJ.
Yeah, that was a stellar effort there from Warpath to get that podium on that race. So unfortunately, he won't get as many points as he probably would have liked, but a round win and a clean sweep. Where's the clean sweep now, Woodsy, for Mr. Gordock 69?
Sit up in the Discord any minute now, knowing him. So, but yeah, so definitely a clean sweep round for Gordock there. Pole position and 2 victories. So it's he was unstoppable, the Kyoto King, as he is now called. With but a big congratulations to Gordock 69, a victory, pole position, fastest lap, and a clean race bonus. The three-peat accomplishments you can get in Gran Turismo, and he's done it with ease. So big congratulations to the WRT camp and Gordock in first place, with Sirik in second. So 2 second places for Sirik, and definitely the championship lead that goes towards the 98. So big ups to the 98 in Sirik, with Warpath coming from the back to be in third place with Big Red, a nice top drive. I think definitely up there with Gordock as the drive of the driver of the round, I'd say.
Yeah, I would probably put Big Red as driver of the round there. Obviously, being he didn't have the best qualifying, but he did have a solid third place and then a fourth place. So seeing where he was at and where he's come to is really nice to see. But Gordock putting on a show here, saying, "Look at me, I'm still here. I want to take this win."
Absolutely. So, and as a nice fourth place, and looks like a third overall for Big Red. And on what is 20 years since the tragic day of 9/11, and he's done his country proud in Trackstars Racing Series to take third overall. So, big congratulations to all of our drivers. But we are going to cut our stream at right this minute now, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for tuning in for Trackstars TS3 round 5 for the Kyoto Sprint. Stay tuned. Within the next 15 minutes, we'll be bringing you live for Trackstars TS2 Racing, where we have championship contenders Little Blacko in the number 14 RSR entry, and Xylon 96 in the 32 MSR Lexus going toe to toe. And Kendall hopefully we might be able to see a change in the championship lead, and hopefully we might be able to see Xylon 96 take the championship lead over Little Blacko. But time will tell. We will catch you guys then very shortly. But for now, and TS3, we will see you guys very soon.